Hola! This video is all about la descripción, which relates to our unit on describing people. You've probably noticed your vocab list has tons of adjectives on it, so today one of our main topics is going to be adjectives. So this video contains all the notes you're going to have for 1.2. This is a shorter chapter since describing people mostly focuses on the adjectives, which is an easier part of speech to learn. So you've probably realized by now that a lot of words in Spanish end with O or A. So words that end in O are going to be masculine, and words that end in A are going to be feminine. So we've learned words so far such as boy. Word boy is going to be a masculine word, obviously, because boys are men. So a word for a boy is going to be el chico. Then similarly, we've learned the word for girl. You'll recall that word is la chica. La means the, so that word translates there. So what's going to happen is, even though I have this adjective tall here, it would have to change based on the gender. So since we're talking about boy, boys are masculine, I would keep it alto. Let's say this girl is also tall. However, we would not say la chica alto. We'd have to change it to la chica alta, for instance. So that's how gender affects adjectives. You'll have to change an O to an A when it wants to become feminine. So sometimes you do not have adjectives that end in O or A. So what happens with these are that most of the time they do not change. So if an adjective does not end in an O or an A, you typically don't change these adjectives. So that would be a good rule. Think about, how do we say smart? So the word for smart is inteligente. So here I'd have el chico, and then I just keep it inteligente. Same thing for la chica. I'd have la chica, inteligente. I didn't have to change my ending at all since it's the same gender. Let's go over here to the young boy and the young girl. So the boy again is el chico. And then the word for young is joven. That word ends in N. N is not a letter O or A, so I do not have to change it. So here I have la chica, a girl. Do I have to change the word joven for girls? No, I do not, since it doesn't end in O or A. So there are a couple exceptions to this rule. One is the word trabajador. You notice on your vocab list that it's marked with an A already at the end. Whenever we have exceptions, they'll be listed that way. Another common exception is nationalities. So for instance, I could have the nationality Japonese, which is Japanese. So Japonese is the masculine form, and then it would be written as Japonesa for feminine. So you can see that they just don't write an O at the end, since there's no O, but then they still include the A when it's feminine. Another one that's common is Inglés. So like someone who's British, Inglesa, Spanish, Español, Española, French, Francés, Francesa. So that's what to do when an adjective does not end in O or A. So remember, most of the time it just won't change. These are exceptions down here. So now we're going to figure out how to find out if a noun is masculine or feminine, since sometimes both don't end in an A, O or A. So these are other endings for masculine words. Here are other endings for feminine words. Copy these down, since these are used for nouns as well. So now you've gotten those copied down, remember that these don't always follow these rules, so there's going to be many irregulars. So for instance, so far we've had the word la clase that ends in an E. An E would fall under most other endings as masculine. However, it's la clase which is feminine because it's la. So just keep in mind these rules aren't always followed. Just like in English, there's a lot of irregulars. Adjective placement. So in Spanish, adjectives are going to come after nouns. So for instance, we've been talking a lot about tall boys, so the tall boy would really be saying the boy tall. So that would be el chico alto. Let's do another example. We could have the small fruit, for instance. A word for fruit, if you think back from last lesson, la fruta, and then small is going to come afterwards. And notice how I changed that to feminine since fruta is feminine. We also need to know how to make words plural. So if I have a noun that's plural, the adjective is also going to have to be plural. So if a word ends in a vowel, you're going to add s to make it plural. So it's just the opposite of English. So think of how in English, let's say we have a word potato, you'd add es to make that plural, whereas in Spanish it's just s. So let's say I want to say the large sodas. Sodas are refrescos. Think back to lesson 1. So instead of L this time, I'm going to have los because it's plural. We'll get there in a second. And then the word for large is grandes, which I added s since both of these end in vowels. So now, let's say now something ends in a consonant. We'll talk about the young woman. So woman is plural. I'm going to do las mujer. How would I make the word mujer plural? It ends in a consonant, so es. And then young is joven. To make joven plural, since it ends in a consonant, I'm going to do es once again. Also, you might have noticed on your vocab list, a lot of words, when they become plural, drop the accent mark. So since I made joven plural, I can get rid of the accent mark because it changes where the stress lands. Last but not least is articles. So in English, articles are words like a, and the. So the is called a definite article because it refers to something in particular, whereas a and an are indefinite articles because they are more general. So for instance, if I were to say the sweatshirt, I know I'm talking about a very specific sweatshirt because I'm saying the, whereas if I say a sweatshirt, it can be very vague. I don't know which sweatshirt I'm talking about. Also, going along with a and an, the word some gets associated in there a lot as well. So a, and some are really indefinite articles. Some is like a plural version of a and an. So here now are the articles in Spanish. I'm sure you'll recognize el and la, maybe los and las from before. So this whole section, definite, once again, or definidos, mean the. This section over here, indefinidos or indefinite articles, mean a, and some. So notice they vary by masculino, femenino, and then also singular y plural. So for instance, the word the has 4 different words in Spanish because we have to make it agree in gender and number. So go ahead and copy this chart down since you're going to need it. And that concludes our notes for today. Hasta luego.